with another speaker. The topic is warehouse automation, developing a robust warehouse. And for the same, I would like to introduce the speaker. Mr. Keyur Pandya is a result-oriented and customer-centric leader with over 23 years of experience across diverse industries. He has led strategic, tactical, and operational initiatives to drive excellence in supply chain, logistics, distributions, safety, and people processes. Everyone, please welcome Mr. Keyur Pandya, General Manager Supply Chain of Thermofisher Scientific. Let's have a huge round of applause, everybody.
Thank you. One criteria to decide where to put the distribution center, but now it is not, tax is not anymore relevant, but the customer service level is relevant. Right? So these are the things that we need to keep in mind. I'll jump this piece because we'll get into the automation. So now how do I design this network based on service level? Whether I want to have a network, the old-fashioned network that you see on the upper side, where you did not have any input. I mean, if you see the first half and the second half, you don't see much of a difference. There is only one difference. Do you realize what is the difference? The difference is the input that you get from the mobility equipment. Right? The sales guy who are on the field are able to give those inputs to you in terms of what does the market need, what does the customer need. And that input, when it flows into the manufacturing, you determine the right product at the right time. Right? I'm skipping this slide because we have already spoken about network and I want to spend more time on the automation side. So again, the design side I'm skipping for now, but just for your information, if you want to take a note of it, it talks about layouting, it talks about the design, infrastructure, the MHEs, the process, and all of that piece to determine how and what I need to put as an input variable before I finalize the design piece. The advantages that we get about all of this is you get the best quality warehouse and the warehouse or a distribution center which is going to help you support next 5 years. Because these decisions are decisions that are not for today, but for future. So keeping the future in mind, it helps you what is the design that I do today. And that is where I decide what are the ways of automation that I need to put in place. So different warehouse designing, you have the block design that's there. It depends on what kind of material that you store. You have the rack storage, which is the high definition rack. And you also have high storage density rack. So depending on the kind of pallets that you have, the kind of material that you store, you decide and design what kind of storage that you have to store. Then comes ASRS. I don't know how, I mean, many of you would now be aware, but I had a privilege of working in the core team in Asian Paints, where we actually implemented a ASRS-based distribution center. And the basis for implementing this ASRS-based distribution center is not only improving the productivity of the distribution center, but actually reducing the overall inventory levels within the system. We were able to reduce 9 days of inventory in the entire system. And in spite of reducing 9 days, our service level had moved up from 88% to 93% in those days. I'm talking about 2010, 2011. That's the power of ASRS. The reason why we were able to do it was that we were able to store the material nearer to the manufacturing center and without having more space, right? We were utilizing the vertical height. It was ground plus 55 storage, right? Because the cranes are now able to go there and pick the material for you. So that's the power of having ASRS. And believe me, my turnaround time or the time to market had also improved. When I say my time to market was improved, earlier I was able to ship out about 60 vehicles in a day. With this process in place, I was able to get it to 80 vehicles. Right? Because the material was available readily and I could actually ship it out on the same day. Much faster. More importantly, it also helps in safety. Right? Fewer people, safe way of operations. I can outsource this to a 3PL who is more expert, who knows this piece very well, and I'm still able to look at all the details through the system because everything is tied up to SAP or the ERP, whatever ERP that any one of us use. So from that perspective, there are a lot of things that are happening in this space where modernization is actually helping to crash the time to market and enterprise-wise cost goes down. Right? On one way to look at it is that there is a huge investment that is being asked for, but at the same time you will have to look at a complete picture. If I look at things in isolation, I may not get the right thing. The past, which was manual way of working, we used to take things very manually. The present is through HHD and barcoding, and the future is manless, people-less MHE. Right? We already have robotic vehicles moving in warehouses. We have drones taking physical inventory count. Have you guys ever seen that? And the speed is immaculate, guys. I'll tell you, I have seen inventory counts going up to 2 days where I had no business running. But with these facilities coming in, I'm able to complete the inventory count in silent hours, in night shift. Zero business interruptions. What more does the customer want? And the accuracy is much more than what I used to do it manually. That's the power of automation. Some other disruptive technologies that we have is driverless cars, drones that we spoke about, image recognition technology, IoT, and most important that we keep learning about is machine learning. Right? This is the buzzword these days. How many of us know that in most of the mails that I get these days from external vendors talk about AI ML? Right? And why is that important? Because we have so much of information that is available, and how can I use that tool to compress the information and give me a very, very synopsis-based output or action-based output by which I'll be able to act much faster. My decisions will be more accurate and I'll not have to wait. Right? Earlier I used to look at my spreadsheets and then come out with solutions which would take a week's time. These days, nobody is going to wait for a week. If I go and tell that I'll come back after a week, I mean, there is somebody else who is waiting to take away my customer. So these are various facets of AI, right? Artificial intelligence, you have problem solving, you have deep learning, machine learning. So a case study that use case that I would want to share here is when we were looking at spare parts. Using this technology, we have been able to actually look at which customer will have a breakdown at what frequency and what part, right? So you have that part available in the warehouse, nearer to the customer's place. See the customer experience that you are going to give. And this is possible only through this machine learning and deep learning. You have robotics, which will again speed up the process. And then you have neural networks. You know what? Have you heard about neural networks? Neural networks are nothing but tools, or it's a data science model, and it actually works the way our brain works. And it keeps learning as it goes, or as it ages, it keeps learning new things. So you keep putting data into it, and it keeps giving you a finer results month on month, quarter on quarter, year on year. So that's the power of this neural network. So when you get those data points into the system, it will actually tell you that where is the likelihood of a wrong shipment happening, where is the likelihood of a wrong physical inventory happening, where is the likelihood of a breakage happening. So all of that information can be taken from this. So I'm depicting a picture of how this AI ML works in the entire warehouse or a distribution center. Are you able to see this? If you see, A is the warehouse managed operation, right? It talks about warehouse managed. Do I have a light? Do you have a light sensor? Okay, so this talks about the integrated warehouse management, right? B actually talks about automatic loaders, right? The material comes from here and it automatically gets loaded into the container. C is basically identifying the scanners that identify materials. D is palletizing, automated palletizing that is there. Then you have the physical inventory counting that happens through these drones. You see these drones? There are physical inventory that gets counted, right? Then you have robots which are running in the warehouses, and then you have automatic guided vehicle. AGV is nothing but automated guided vehicle. So these are the AGVs, right? And then you have sortation. So wherever you have the ASRS, you also have sortation area where you sort the material and keep it ready based on the requirement of different customers. So there is a sortation that happens. So this is a schematic of how things work in an automated environment. Right? So now we talk about a lot of industries moving from industrialization 1.0 to 4.0, and this is how it has moved from a physical way of working to a digital way of working, right? And this is the revolution that we see, right? So while we had those manual pick list and all of that getting automated, right? You have flexible machines for value-added services, fully automated pickings, next-gen distribution operating systems, and you have safety enhancement. Most important piece is the safety part, because in this world, now that we have started realizing how important safety is for our business continuity. So all of this automation, while we talk about productivity, is one part of it, but by virtue of that, the number of people that were there in the distribution center have gone down, and that is where our mistakes or the operating issues have also gone down. I don't know if few of you would have heard about it, that DuPont says in their survey that if you look at all the safety incidents, 98% of the safety incidents can be avoidable. Right? If those are avoidable, this is one way of mistake proofing. Why artificial intelligence? We did speak about it. It's because it helps in better communication. It talks about better data, because by virtue of that, your database is going to be very strong. And data that we are using it today is going to help you fine-tune your processes for the future. That's going to help you make your future secured, and your future will look much brighter. So that's very important, safe workplace, and more importantly, safer inventory management. And when I say inventory management, not only on the inventory which is in the warehouse, but also about the inventory in the entire enterprise system. Right? So we are talking about the entire enterprise system, not restricting it to the distribution center. Thank you. Yes. Open for questions, or?
We can take one question if anybody has any question. Okay, so
Good. I am happy that there are no questions. There are two things that I can infer. One is that it was very easy for people to understand, or secondly is the post-lunch effect. Thank you.
So I would request you to kindly be on the stage. And now I would request Mr. Rajiv Bhattacharya, Vice President Strategy and Project from VTrans India Private Limited, to kindly join us on the stage.